I'm the scat man. Yo do do do. Skimmy dimmy yo do do do. Yo do do ba 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 do.
Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us here. NHL Puck Props presented by Bet99. Josh Inglis, Carlo Colaiacovo. Happy Pumper Day there in the chat. Good to see the boys. Winning day yesterday. But we are coming down to maybe the least exciting trade deadline week. It's dead, right? Michael McCarron for a second round pick.
Second round pick. Yeah.
Where are we in this week? Like, are we waiting for that first domino to fall? Obviously, it looked like Edmonton was setting up a play to work on their back end and then eventually, helpfully build out that goaltending, and somewhere in Minnesota, shore up some depth at center and then actually make a real move for center because Ryan Hartman is not a center one, I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
When should we expect some action here, bud?
Well, the difficulty about expecting something to happen is the amount of games that are played between now and Friday. I mean, I think if you look at the standings, and I know last night, Buffalo wins, Boston wins in the East, they're increasing the gap in the Eastern Conference from 8 to 9. And then in the West, you look at the division there, there's still a couple of teams. I mean, Nashville, I'm surprised they're selling. Are they giving up on the season, or are they just those two players just got them a better return than I think they probably envisioned with McCarron and Smith, right? A second and third round pick. How do you pass that up? So, to say where the teams are at and why it's slow is I think it's because you still have teams trying to determine how far they really want to go in this. And I said this on my radio show this morning. If you're a team in the Eastern Conference and you're in the top 8 right now, how are you not going all in with this deadline, seeing how open the Eastern Conference is?
With no Florida. Florida's not there.
That's
like,
what I mean.
Go for it, man.
No Florida, no Toronto, no Rangers.
You might face Pittsburgh, Buffalo, maybe Detroit.
Right.
There could be some layup.
Like 2 years ago, remember 2 years ago, the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference traded their top prospect and their first round pick in big moves, right? Florida went out and got Tarasenko. The Maple Leafs went out and got Ryan O'Reilly. The New Jersey Devils went out and got Timo Meier. The New York Rangers made a big move. Tampa made a big, everybody was making these big moves. But in the first round of the playoffs, 3 of those teams were going to be eliminated.
Yeah.
Right? So it's now you got this Eastern Conference so wide open, and it's we haven't seen much activity at all. And I hate the narrative that was spun yesterday by some of the insiders, the new cap rules are making teams hesitant about making moves. Really? This is what we want to go towards. Now you want to talk about a playoff cap stopping teams from making trades? It's ridiculous.
I don't know if we're going to see much, right? I think someone like Vinny Trocheck, who would be happy to get out of New York, plays a great center position. PK is a perfect fit for a playoff team. There's obviously a lot of talent at center position. You can take some swings on Pettersson. I know we'll get to him in a bit, but he's a 100-point guy who maybe just needs some motivation and not play in Vancouver. There's a lot of love at the center position, but I mean, we're here on Wednesday. We're down to 24 hours today. That takes us to Thursday, and then basically only another 30 hours. We're at 54 hours, Carlo.
Yeah.
And nothing's moving. I know it's not a great board out there to pick off things, but if you're trading second round picks for Michael McCarron already, someone in the chat, I believe it was our good friend Nick Porto saying, it feels odd to me that the Blues are shopping Cairo and Thomas. You can shop around anybody, but the ask for Robert Thomas is 4 first-round picks, and the haul that Montreal was trying to ship over, which was Hague. Is it Hage or Hagee?
Hage.
Yeah, Michael Hage. The bass player that sounds like a bass player in Rickenbacker.
Reinbacher.
Yeah, it's a hell of a bass. And then 2 first-round picks. And you're that seems aggressive. I mean, he's obviously a young guy, but if if St. Louis is asking for the moon, they have all right, but I don't know if St. Louis is going to get much asking for that.
Well, St. Louis should ask for the moon. They're giving up a 26-year-old top line center who's locked in for the next 6 years. Like that's, I mean, look what Quinn Hughes went for, and he has this year, next year left, right? I mean, that's the type of package that's going to take to move on from a guy like Robert Thomas. And I got excited when I heard Buffalo was part of the mix, and I saw the package, and I'm like, whoa, that's kind of a lot to ask for. But at some point, you got to make a big impact move. And it's, the teams that are in those positions of strength, they have the right to ask for whatever it is they want to ask for. It's the team's decision on if they're not that whoever's engaged in those conversations, whether or not they want to pull the trigger on the asking price.
Neldog says, my Sabres to win the division just went up from 1,200 to plus 750. Thomas goes to Buffalo. Look out. Absolutely. And when you're trying to beat the books on the market to situations like that, like the first market that's going to move is the outright. It's a Stanley Cup. Then it's like a manual adjustment down the line. So then you go to the division, right? Or go to then go to the division, then go to make the playoffs. Like there is a pecking order in which way that those lines move when news comes out. And we all know that NHL lines move quite slowly. But the Sabres are so interesting to me. Obviously, they need a little help at center. Maybe Krebs on the wing isn't a fantastic spot on the top line. But that team, to hear them saying they want to add to their blue line when they have what? 3 number 1 picks already on the blue line?
Darlene, Power, and
Bowen Byram's like
Bowen Byram was a third or fourth
third
overall pick,
and Matthias Samuelson's stepping it up too. That's a very legit blue line, and I think I know you've probably been following them. I think out of the East, out of all those teams who have some warts, Buffalo's played good teams very well, and I think that team could make some noise. Just have to knock off Carolina.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'm excited about what Buffalo can do. Like, this is a team for 15 years has been selling, and all they've been doing is stockpiling. And it's like I've asked the question, how much of can you stockpile before it actually comes to fruition? And buddy, all it took was one move. It was a new GM that has come in and completely changed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The outlook of this team. I read a record this morning. Let me see if I can find it. That the Buffalo Sabres since December 9th are 25-5-2. They've outscored opponents 120 to 80, and they have the second most regulation wins in the NHL since that time. And they're only 2 points out of first in the Atlantic.
And like last night was a perfect example of that maturity of the team that they have, right? Good lead, slips away, but then they just lock down. And I don't a goal in the second half of that game seamlessly. Great defense. They're getting good goaltending from both sides. Alex Leon, like the Lion might be one of the most underrated goalies that someone could have had back like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the reason that Florida got in the playoffs?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. He started the playoffs that year against Boston. And
like the entire Florida dynasty
started with the Lion King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows what to do at this time of the month. Maybe one of the better goalies in the late months of the season. Let's get to the board here. Toronto at New Jersey. Toronto facing a team on the second of a back-to-back, and Toronto still a plus 105 underdog. That's how well things are going here in Toronto. And our first play, we go Connor Brown and Grziak for a point each at plus 225. I bounced around. I had Connor Brown just at plus 225. I said, maybe I'll just take him for a point at plus 120. Let's get greedy here. The Devils scored 5 goals last night versus Florida, which was the first time they'd done that in 10 games. Luke Hughes is back. Jake Allen should go today. He's 1-4 straight up in his last 5, but guess what? He's playing good hockey, 2.47 goals against, 904 save percentage. Toronto, 4 straight losses since the restart. They have 7 goals, just 4 of those at 5-on-5. They've given up 17. 3 straight games with a PK goal allowed. Here are our lines in New Jersey. Brown, Hughes and Griciak. Why am I on Connor Brown and Griciak? They correlate PP2. They're also playing with Jack Hughes. They're at home. They'll have the matchup advantage with last change. Second line, Mercer, Heischer, Meyer. Mercer, not a bad look for his price for a point. Brown, 2 points last game, 17 plus minutes. I know it's not. He's had a couple cups of tea since the last time he played for the Leafs, but does it still mean anything to play Toronto, a team that I believe drafted him?
There's always that sort of that extra motivation you play with when you play against a former team. But I think the initial rush of it has rubbed off.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I'm betting on him playing with Jack Hughes is who's playing well.
Like, he's got to put money on the board tonight because he played on the team, but I don't think it's something that he sits there and is like, man, I got to beat my former team. And guys get over it pretty quickly.
How about New Jersey just getting a 5-goal win over Florida and maybe just wanting to finish with a little bit of high note, especially in a winnable game?
Well, we had Ken Danico on this morning, and he talked about how the New Jersey Devils are playing a brand of hockey now that they had a lot of success with early in the season. And ever since Jack Hughes, it was early in November when Jack Hughes got hurt, that this team's season has basically been derailed. So can they salvage it with 21 games left? Hard to believe, but with everybody back in the lineup, they're finally finding their identity again. So they've been playing good hockey as of late.
Luke Hughes back as well. So full-fledged offense. Maybe can put some behind maybe one of the worst defensive teams in hockey in Toronto. The Devils minus 125 home favorites after a 5-1 win last night, facing a rested team. That's how bad things are in Toronto. And for my assist parlay, that is 280 to 1 that I'm putting a little $5 scratch ticket price on it.
Look at this.
Yeah, one assist from each game.
Parlay.
One assist from each game.
I got to write this down.
Oh, we got Uncle Carlo swirling. Connor Brown assist. He had 2 assists last game. He's plus 235 for assist today.
Picture with your face in the background. Yes.
Did you screen grab that? There you go.
I did, yeah.
Attaboy. No, we'll go Connor Brown from that game. Let's go Vegas, Detroit. Vegas on the second of a back-to-back after a 3-2 loss to Buffalo, which was, guess what? Their 14th straight loss to a current playoff team.
Who's this?
Vegas. Vegas is 0. The last time, try to guess this, the last time that Vegas beat a playoff team, a current playoff team right now, what month was it?
I think it's December, wasn't it?
November 20th.
Wow. That's a long time ago. They have as many regulation wins this year as the Blues. Wow.
This team's as fraudulent as they come. As fraudulent as they come. On the money line, this team is 28-33. This team is losing people money. Detroit finally got the offense going. They're coming off that afternoon game. Todd McLellan kind of retooled his lines a bit because the offense was absolutely terrible. But guess who's playing on that top line? A guy we've bet before, Andrew Kopp, for a point at plus 130. When lines change, that's when I smell water.
You're like a shark. Water,
smell
like
blood.
Shark.
I'm so bad at
smell water.
What an idiot. What an absolute idiot. Smell that water?
Yeah. Smell it? Yeah.
There's so much blood in the water that's it. I can smell some water here. But no, the line is important here because it's Raymond, Kopp, and DeBrincat. And I mean, Raymond can facilitate stuff, but he could shoot. DeBrincat, obviously the shooter there too. So we could look at the assist, and that's why I got the Kopp assist. It's over plus 200. A good look there. The second line that they're running with Larkin, Kane, Rasmussen. I think this Raymond, Kopp, DeBrincat line is the best. They are getting last change, which is big. John Gibson was injured last game, but apparently it was just he took a shot off the shoulder. He should be fine. What are you laughing at?
The comments.
Oh, can you see air? Oh, wow. I'm getting roasted. Yellow water.
Wake up and smell the water.
Wake up and smell the water. What does water smell like? That's a deep question.
Oh, sorry, bud.
That's fine. That's how we live over here when you spend all day by yourself in a room, and this is the only communication I get on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Friday. Akira Schmid started last game, so guess who's in that? Aiden Hill, who my son yesterday was like, why didn't Aiden Hill play for Team Canada? I'm like, bud, don't worry. Don't give Bennington anything. Aiden Hill is 4-4 and 1 straight up since returning. 846 save percentage. The over is 6-3 in the games he's played. Vegas can't get any goaltending. Mark Stone still banged up. I like Detroit in this spot, but the John Gibson injury scares me. This is a spot where I really like Kopp playing 17-plus minutes. He'll play power play too, but 5-on-5, you can score versus Vegas. And one thing I'm really watching, and I was really excited to see Edmonton score late and then win in overtime. Talbot expected. Thank you very much, Habs chat. So, that's confirmed. All right, so good to know now. Detroit also the earliest information in their home skates on practice day. Edmonton was plus 700 yesterday before that game. Vegas loses. Anaheim loses. This is what's still on the table. Oh, Jesus. What did I say? You just cut me off. Tell me if I'm being too excited about a potential Edmonton run. MVP, Norris, and Bouchard, division win, and this team has shown that it can get through the West, but just can't get over Florida. And maybe I know we talk about Carolina not having to go through Florida. Maybe Edmonton's more excited.
Yeah, but Edmonton's got to get through the West first, right? I mean, you're right. I talked about that earlier today. I'm like, Edmonton's got to be a team excited about not seeing Florida in there too, because it feels like this has been a season of struggle for the Edmonton Oilers, but you look at where they are in the standings, crazy. They're right there, right?
Like playing catch-up. Seems like they play catch-up every game.
Right, and it just seems like can they find what it takes to get over the hump, and can their goalies do enough to win them when it matters the most? I think that is still a very questionable situation for sure about their goaltending. But I mean, they bring back Paul Coffey. They hope that he's going to be the defense whisperer again. They go make the move for Connor Murphy. Is there more that they can do to shore up their bottom six? Like if I was Edmonton, I'd be looking at the Maple Leafs and trying to acquire both Scott Laughton and Bobby McMahon and pay whatever the price is to get them, because those guys fit in seamlessly right into your bottom six. And the best part about those guys is you can fit them into your cap because they're cheap. They're going to cost you next to nothing.
And no one's dealing with them. So it's like, oh, someone wants to deal? Like Toronto might have
and if it costs you a first-round pick to do it,
man,
you're in it to win it this year, man. You got to do it. So
I agree.
We'll see what happens there. But if I'm Edmonton, that's a team too that I got to be looking at the landscape around me and saying, I gotta do whatever it takes.
JPC4 says Holloway and Fogle fit in as well, which is
the problem with those guys is they make too much money.
Well, they got ripped out of their.
Yeah, they did, but I'm saying the two players right now, like you can get both McMahon and Laughton at a $1.4 million cap hit together if you tell the Leafs to eat half of the cap hit.
Yeah.
So
interesting spot there. Nelk Dog says Edmonton defensive analytics are horrid, so it's not just goaltending. The last 10 games, the same expected goals against. I know that doesn't tell the whole story, but expected goals against the same as the Avs. Very credible. It's been better. We've seen Bouchard's numbers defensively skyrocket over the last couple of months. And we've seen Bouchard was 40-1. 40-1 on Friday for the Norris. He's now plus 650.
Wow. Well, I couldn't believe when I looked at the stats this morning that he's leading the D in scoring.
Yeah, it's been there for a long time.
Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to it. And I just thought it was McCarr running away with it.
No, Edmonton needs a goaltender for sure. That's it. It's getting ridiculous. I think it was 4 goals on 16 shots before the comeback. It's embarrassing, and if they don't address it, then I think people will be handing in their fan Edmonton, especially when you have everything there. It's not like it's a deep team. Like, just get goalie. You've already got McDavid to take some money off the board. There's no reason that they shouldn't be able to pull something off. And they have to. It's the year they run. Carolina, Vancouver. Vancouver has 2 wins in their last 22 games, if you didn't know.
Yikes.
That is a yikes.
Yeah.
That is a yikes.
I tried to do the math in my head quickly there, and I'm like, yeah, that's not good.
That's bad. Their point percentage since January 1st is below the Mendoza line at 190.
Wow.
When the majority of teams have a point percentage around 500. This team is done so. So Carolina's minus 290. So how can I get the Carolina money line somewhere around even money? Take Elias Pettersson for under a point, and we'll add it together. We'll get the plus 105.
How about under a shot?
He has no shot market. He has no shot market.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay, gee, I wonder why. The guy doesn't shoot.
He's done so.
3 games back since the break. He's got 0 shots on net in all 3 games.
0 shots.
Man.
And he went from like 14 minutes 2 games ago. He played a full 19 minutes last game. Vancouver still just struggling. 2 wins last 22 games. Like I said, 190 win percentage, the worst in hockey since January 1st. Carolina, second game of their West Coast road trip, so they are ready to play on the West Coast. I couldn't think of a better word than ready. Good job, Josh. 2-1 loss to Seattle on Monday, but they dominated that game. Outshot Seattle 36-15, just didn't finish. 14-7 straight up following a loss on the season. Vancouver, you're telling me they are playing their worst hockey of the year. They lost 6-1 to Dallas, mustered 15 shots in that game, which was a season worst. 2 or fewer goals in 9 straight. Thank you, Jonathan Davis, for pointing that out as well. Should be a bussy start after Anderson played 2 straight games, which is odd. Bussy 24-3-1, 223 goals against on the season. To the assist parlay, we're going Mr. Blake for an assist. He has assists in 3 of his last 4. I still like that line, the Taylor Hall line, the Stankoven line. That's where we go with that game. Vancouver is donezo. Tyler Myers isn't playing. Is it a case? I know you always say guys are playing for jobs and motivated, but if you just get kicked in the balls 700 times, like, where do you find the motivation to strap them up and play? And is there ever a point in a professional player's life in the season where it's like, my day outside of hockey is more important than my day at the rink?
I mean, at this time of year, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Not at this time of year, no.
But
because your players on playoff teams are fighting to stay alive, are fighting for playoffs, and the players that aren't in playoffs are fighting for jobs.
I know that makes sense, but this is just a team that's just endured maybe more than any other team in the last couple of years. No, I mean, last year they were good last year. Didn't they make the
Vancouver?
Yeah.
No, they didn't. They weren't good last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like the biggest outlier available. Would you take on Pettersson's contract if you're anybody? What is it, 11 million?
11.6.
For what, another 5 years or something?
I think 6.
But is he the highest upside guy, the biggest risk guy on the entire board?
I don't know what upside there is. I think there's more risk than upside.
100-point upside.
Yeah, but
okay,
yeah, he had that. He had that. I mean, does anything in his game that you're watching right now make you believe that he's got upside to get 100 points again?
No, he's being. Habs chat says down in the chat says Pettersson.
He's got 7 years left. Oh, jeez.
They would have to retain that, but 7 years retention is massive.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're not retaining 50%. You're probably retaining 10%. So it's a $10 million player, not $11.6 million player. Right?
Also not a guy you want as your center one. That's soft.
I think that the hard thing when evaluating Pettersson is where's his motivation? Does he have any? Because he doesn't play like he has any.
They loved him in the
Right.
Olympics.
Did they?
He played big minutes, which was surprising. They sat Forsberg and let EP40 run 19 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough sell to ownership. It really is. It's like, hey,
But if
I
you're
got this
Vancouver
player.
and there's anything close, you got to dump it.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're at the point of no return in Vancouver. I think if you're a team acquiring them, I mean, maybe there's a team that needs to acquire them to get to the cap floor now, because with the cap going up, teams have to spend to get to the cap floor.
Pettersson and Bedard.
In Chicago?
Yeah, and then you bump Bedard over.
Maybe.
He's still not playing with anybody on power play one. He's playing with Green and Burakovsky, who doesn't have a point in has 1 point in 20 games. He's brutal. Who's the worst locker room guy, JT Miller or EP40? JT Miller has a gold medal. There's your difference now.
Yeah, I guess.
That's it. He's been in the winning locker room.
And to think, that's when it all fell apart for Vancouver, is when they had to make that decision. JT Miller, Elias Pettersson. Well, you get rid of Miller. Pettersson doesn't turn out to be the guy you need him to be. The team goes into the tank, and next thing you know, you lose Quinn Hughes because of that. Right? So I don't know, man. It's ugly in Van. Maybe the light at the end of the tunnel for Vancouver is they win the first overall pick and they get the local kid Gavin McKenna to help, reshape the direction of that franchise.
Yeah, if Gary Bettman has any hand in it, he'll make that happen, because that's the only way that works. Because if Vancouver doesn't get the number one,
I read something online the other day that Edward Rogers didn't pay $12 billion for a contract, a TV rights deal, without securing a backdoor number one overall pick in this year's draft for the Leafs. So they get to keep their pick.
Love it. Islanders, Anaheim. Anaheim is on the second of a back-to-back after loss to Colorado yesterday. The Islanders on their first game on the West Coast trip. We go Matt Barzal, Bo Horvat for a point each, plus 105. That's not a great price, Josh, but guess what? This is the duo you want. You can add Schaefer to that. I think that gets over to plus 220, but this is the best spot. Very interested to see. Anaheim was on a 5-game winning streak. They had an 8-game winning streak at home before the loss. First game of a 4-game road trip for the Islanders, who have won 5 straight and are winning hockey games by scoring 100 goals. 13 goals in 3 games, just 1 on the power play. The Anaheim penalty kill has allowed a goal in 4 straight. And they might have to go to Ville Husso, who has started just 1 of the last 12 games. Husso's allowed 4+ goals in 4 of his last 5 starts. So there is some offense expected from Anaheim, or from the Islanders, if he starts. Matthew Schaefer coming off his first 3-20 goals, playing 25 minutes a game since the restart. 7 goals in his last 8 games. I heard you and AK talking about it. Would you take Celebrini? Yeah, would you take Celebrini or Schaefer if you had the number 1 overall pick in a dynasty?
I would go Schaefer. I know, to me, there's no right or wrong. I mean, it's hard to pass up on a guy like Celebrini, but you look at what Schaefer is doing and how he impacts the game as a defenseman. We see it firsthand here in Toronto. When you don't have a number 1 defenseman that can impact the game the way he does, it gets ugly, right? He impacts.
Is that a Morgan Riley shot? Is that a shot at Morgan Riley?
Oh, it is. 100% it is. Well, it's also a shot at the organization that they haven't done anything
embarrassing
to draft and develop players behind Morgan Riley that could be put into this lineup. I don't know. Look, Celebrini, he's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. But with the way Schaefer impacts the game, 5-on-5, power play, penalty kill, the minutes that he plays, it's just hard. It's hard to pass up on him.
Yeah, someone said, did he just say that? Did he just take Schaefer over Brini? I would take Schaefer too. It's just, I think it's much harder to find that
Just think of the
turnaround he's done for the Islanders.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of his impact that has turned around the Islanders. Now, Celebrini, it's been his impact too, but there's still struggles in San Jose because they don't have a Schaefer on defense to keep the pucks out of their net.
What pick did they use for Dickinson?
10.
Okay. Yeah. But that's a difference. Like it's someone saying, is he the new Lane Hudson? He could pass Lane Hudson. Lane Hudson's
Schaefer?
Yeah.
Oh, I would take Schaefer over Lane Hudson in a heartbeat, even though I absolutely love Lane Hudson. He's my favorite player to watch. But when you look at Lane Hudson, does he impact the game the same way a guy like Schaefer does?
And I think it just goes down.
They're both great offensively, but measure the other intangibles.
I think it's so funny when people drop the word like, how is he defensively? I said, I don't care how he is defensively. If you can skate like these guys can skate.
Yeah.
You're defensive.
People underestimate Lane Hudson's defensive abilities because when I watch that guy play in a one-on-one battle, he doesn't get beat many times. He's really, really determined every time he goes into a one-on-one battle. He doesn't win it because he out-muscle guys. He wins it because he's just outsmart guys in those one-on-ones with his feet and with his hands.
Yeah, Habs fan says I'd trade Lane for Schaefer in a second. Absolutely. But that's it. What do we got? The lines: Palat, Horvat, Barzal, Lee, Pajot, Holmstrom, Heineman, Ritchie, Duclair for the Islanders. Anaheim 2-4 straight up with one regulation win on the second of a back-to-back. Last game that maybe no one really cares about, but there might be a couple spots here. St. Louis plus 125 at Seattle. Let's go. Jimmy Snuggerud and Braden Shen for a point each, plus 300. Playing on the top line with Rob Thomas. You add Thomas to that, you can get plus 400. Guess what? These three guys all PP1 correlated as well. I believe they all pointed in their last game. This is also a St. Louis team that just beat Seattle 5-1 in the first game back from the restart. Seattle did look good in that, or on paper looked good in that 2-1 win over Carolina, but as I mentioned before, they were outplayed and outshot substantially by Carolina. St. Louis is playing with house money. Like these guys, you tell me this last thing before we go. These might be the last games that these boys get to play with each other. Right? Like, is that something that they might actually cherish and like enjoy more than anything else? Be like, this could be our last line.
Yeah, I think the normal reaction would be, they'd have to cherish it. But I can tell you one thing, guys are not focused on that in the rooms because they're focusing on playing the games. And there's a natural reaction to hockey players that getting to this point, you've played with hundreds, if not thousands of different teammates throughout your career. And you just learn to adapt with guys that come and go. So
you build up a wall to keep those emotions in.
You're right.
Yeah, that's right. That's all right. I understand.
Unless there's something sentimental to a player in the situation that he's in that it's about to leave. But other than that, it's business as usual, man.
Would you rather have Braden Shen at a much cheaper price than Rob Thomas? If you could get Shen for a first or like a late first,
I wouldn't be trading a first for Shen. I think his game is.
But we traded a first for Lawton.
Yeah, no, but again, Lawton was because there wasn't much competition in the market, right? When it came to teams needing centers. And I think Philly they capitalized on that. You look at the center market in this trade world that we're living in today, there's competition.
Yeah.
So I don't think that a guy like Braden Shen, I mean, if St. Louis gets a first for him, all power to him. I just don't know if that's his market value right now. But then again, Mike McCarron.
I'm just going to say, McCarron's getting a second.
Yeah.
Did that set like the tone for what things are worth right now? Because that's a bad tone setter.
Well, I think it does. But again, here's how that conversation went. Minnesota was probably looking at a certain type of player, right? A right-hand shot centerman that's really big. And they're like, I want that guy. And they called up Nashville and like, well, I want that guy too, but I'm not just going to get rid of him.
Yeah.
You've got to sell me on getting rid of him. Because just as much as you like him, I like him for the same reasons. And that the second round pick was probably what made Nashville part ways with him. Right? That's usually how it goes because he's not a guy anybody talked about being on the market.
Nope.
Right?
One of those sneaky ones down there in the second tiers.
But sometimes when you identify a guy and you're like, I'm going to pay whatever it takes to get this guy, the price goes up. And clearly it went up for McCarron because there's no way anybody would have thought that he'd be worth a second round pick.
Snuggerud, 10 points last 9 games, 7 assists. I am terrified that not terrified. I actually don't give a shit anymore. The Leafs, like they might not make, and at the end of the day, if the Leafs do nothing here, what should the backlash be for an ownership group that Scott Walker put out a tweet saying like Pelly came in, he got rid of Jerry Shanahan. Yeah. He puffed his chest out, I think was the quote in his tweet. And now he's sitting here ready to fumble a bag.
Yeah. This could be a tremendous backfire on MLSE because they decided to go in a direction they didn't really need to go because their teams were having a lot of success.
Division winner.
Yeah. They were having a lot of success with the alignment that they had before, and now they decided that they were going to make business decisions, and it's come back to haunt them in a bad way.
Yeah, and I hope it affects his bottom dollar with people not going to the games and costing them money.
Right.
And it's the only way it works.
There has to be a quick fix to this because then you start flirting with the idea of losing season ticket holders, and the cost for those could be damaging to their business. So, but let's see. I don't want to.
If you do nothing, though, the rebuild could be a long time.
I think if they do nothing, it's going to come with massive criticism. Massive criticism.
This front office is very good at deflecting criticism anyway, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. But no, those are the picks. 5 games. Giant assist parlay down there. Let me know there in the chat what I missed. And someone said you watch Andy's videos. I do, but I always watch them after because I hate being influenced by his picks. But I do love going to his videos after and seeing we're aligned on the same stuff. Ownership's going to blame Marner. Whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, the ownership's going to blame injuries. All right, buddy. Lead us out. Thanks to everybody there in the chat today.
All right. Enjoy the day. See you tomorrow.
I'm the scat man.